All right, so get this.
Yeah.
You sent us some seriously juicy stuff about the Sonic multiverse.
Uh-huh.
And there's this one fan theory that has us both hooked.
Okay.
It's about a potential multiversal war brewing.
Mhm.
And trust me, it makes the events of Sonic Prime look like a cakewalk.
Yeah, what's got us so fascinated is we're not just talking about different Sonics bumping into each other.
Right.
We're talking about a full-on collision of every Sonic continuity imaginable.
Whoa.
Archie Comics, the SatAM Universe,
Okay.
even Sonic Boom, they're all in the mix.
Okay, so for those who might not be familiar with all the Sonic lingo,
Sure.
SatAM refers to the 90s cartoon Sonic the Hedgehog,
Right.
known for its darker tone and serialized storytelling.
Yeah.
And yeah, even the wacky, physics-defying world of Sonic Boom gets pulled into this.
It's like someone opened up the vault of Sonic history and said, let's see what happens. And the fan theories are already running wild with the possibilities.
You mentioned this idea of a multiversal war.
Yeah.
And the script outline you provided actually hints at something like that happening.
Mm-hmm.
The Sonic universe isn't just splitting into a few alternate timelines, it's shattering into fragments,
Right.
each one representing a different Sonic continuity.
And this isn't just a cool visual, it's
Yeah.
where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Imagine Sonic, used to his bright blue skies and loop-de-loops,
Oh, yeah.
suddenly finding himself in a world where Robotnik has already won.
Oh, like the SatAM universe.
This the SatAM Universe for you.
Yeah,
A grim dystopian world where Robotnik rules with an iron fist.
right.
It's about as far from Sonic's usual cheerful self as you can get,
Yeah.
and it makes you wonder, how would he even handle that kind of darkness?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
But before we dive into Sonic's potential existential crisis,
Sure.
there's another layer to this whole multiverse chaos. The villains.
Oh, yeah.
And you've given us a real rogues gallery to unpack here,
Mm-hmm.
starting with a name that sends shivers down any Sonic fan's spine. Seelkadoom.
Oh, boy.
Okay, honestly, just the name Seelkadoom sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like a metal band decided to create a Sonic villain.
Haha.
But the concept behind him is even wilder.
Okay.
We're talking about a being that's essentially a fusion of Sonic and Shadow.
And that's what makes Seelkadoom so terrifying.
Right.
It's not just about the raw power of two supercharged hedgehogs combined. It's the psychological implications.
Oh, wow.
Imagine the internal struggle, the clash of Sonic's unwavering optimism against Shadow's brooding intensity.
Yeah, it's one thing to face a villain who wants to rule the world.
Right.
It's a whole other level of terrifying to face one who's literally a walking embodiment of your own internal conflicts.
Exactly.
Wow.
And unlike some villains who have grand plans for conquest,
Hmm.
Seelkadoom's driving force seems to be a pure, almost primal hunger for power.
Really?
The script outline you provided even hints at him challenging Nazo,
Oh, no.
another big bad with his own chaotic agenda.
Hold on, Nazo. We've got to talk about this guy. Because if Seelkadoom is terrifying, Nazo is just pure chaos personified.
Yeah, he really is.
The notes you sent over describe him as being born from negative chaos energy,
Uh-huh.
which, for the uninitiated, is basically the lifeblood of the Sonic universe.
Right, exactly.
Think of it this way. If chaos energy is the force that makes things possible in the Sonic world,
Yeah,
Nazo is the embodiment of everything that could go wrong with it.
basically.
He's like a walking, talking glitch of the fabric of reality.
A true antagonist.
And his goal, to reshape the multiverse according to his own twisted vision.
Yeah.
He doesn't just want to rule, he wants to tear it all down and rebuild it from scratch.
Hmm.
That's some serious ambition right there.
It really is. It's scary.
But here's the kicker. Nazo isn't the only one dabbling in the dangerous world of temporal manipulation. We also have Aeon the Hedgehog, a time-traveling enigma with a tragic backstory and a power set that would make even Doctor Strange raise an eyebrow. Okay, so picture this. Aeon was once a scholar, a gentle soul dedicated to understanding the mysteries of time.
Mm-hmm.
But after a mishap that traps him in the void between universes, he becomes something else entirely.
Oh, that's rough.
He returns to the Sonic multiverse not just as a master of time travel, but as a being obsessed with power.
Oh, no.
And we're not just talking about your average teleporting villain. Aeon's abilities seem to border on the godlike.
Really?
We're talking ripping holes in the fabric of space-time,
Wow.
manipulating the flow of time itself,
That's a lot.
even a degree of immortality.
Oh, my.
He makes those time-stopping shenanigans. Shadowpult and Sonic Adventure 2 look like child's play.
Wow, that's something else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Time-bending powers on top of everything else.
It's crazy.
It's like the writers took every cool sci-fi trope and threw it into the Sonic universe.
Right.
But honestly, I can't say I hate it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this multiverse concept.
Yeah.
It allows for these wildly imaginative scenarios while still staying true to the core themes of Sonic.
Right. It's like, what would happen if you push this character we know and love to his absolute limits?
Yeah.
What if he faced challenges that even his speed and optimism couldn't solve?
That actually reminds me of something else you included in the materials.
Okay.
A rough outline for a story arc called Shattered Realms.
Yeah.
It sounds absolutely bonkers, even for Sonic.
Shattered Realms.
Yeah.
This outline
right?
is a treasure trove of what-if scenarios
That's it, huh?
with Sonic navigating these fragmented realities.
Right.
Each one a different version of his world.
Okay.
And the best part is, it's not just a sightseeing tour.
Oh.
Each realm presents its own unique challenges,
Okay.
forcing Sonic to adapt and overcome obstacles he's never encountered before.
It's like he's on a crash course through Sonic history,
Right.
but with the fate of the multiverse hanging in the balance.
Exactly.
From what I gathered, the outline suggests that Sonic isn't just passively traveling through these realms.
He's actively trying to restore them, to piece back together the shattered fragments of his universe.
And this is where those technical details about time travel and alternate timelines become really important.
Yeah.
You see, it's not as simple as Sonic smashing a few robots and calling it a day.
Right.
The outline implies that his actions in one realm could have unforeseen consequences in another.
Oh, wow.
It's a delicate balancing act, and the stakes are incredibly high.
Okay, so not only is he dealing with different versions of himself,
Yeah.
different villains, and a whole lot of existential angst, but now he has to be careful about stepping on any temporal butterflies.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Talk about pressure.
Exactly. And speaking of different versions of himself,
Yeah.
the outline actually hints at a particularly compelling encounter between Sonic and his counterpart from the Archie Comics Universe,
Okay.
Scourge the Hedgehog.
Oh, wow, Scourge.
Yeah,
Now, that's a blast from the past.
right.
For those who might not be familiar, he's basically an evil twin of Sonic from an alternate dimension.
Yeah, basically.
Think Sonic, but with a mean streak wider than Robotnik's waistline.
Aha, that's a good one.
And what makes this confrontation so intriguing is that it forces Sonic to confront a darker reflection of himself.
Exactly. Scourge is like a twisted version of everything Sonic could be if he let his ego and impulsiveness run wild.
So it's not just about Sonic saving the multiverse. It's about him facing his own inner demons along the way. That adds a whole new layer of depth to this whole Shattered Realms concept.
It really does, and it gets even more interesting when you consider the fan theories surrounding this arc.
Really?
You see, in the forum thread you shared, there's a lot of speculation about whether Sonic's encounters with these alternate versions of himself will actually change him in some way.
You mean like will facing down a villain who's essentially a darker version of himself force Sonic to confront his own flaws?
Exactly.
Wow.
It's a classic hero's journey trope, but with a fascinating multiversal twist.
Okay.
Will Sonic emerge from this ordeal stronger, wiser,
Right.
maybe even a little jaded?
Yeah.
Or will he cling to his optimistic nature even in the face of unimaginable darkness?
Honestly, that's what makes this whole deep dive so engaging.
Yeah.
It's not just about summarizing plots or listing off characters. It's about exploring the possibilities, the what-ifs, the potential for these stories to resonate with us on a deeper level.
Absolutely. And that's something this Shattered Realms outline does incredibly well.
Yeah.
It takes a familiar character like Sonic, throws him into these extraordinary circumstances, and asks us to consider what truly makes a hero.
Is it unwavering optimism,
Right.
unmatched speed, or is it something more, something that's tested and tempered in the fires of adversity?
It's a question that philosophers and storytellers have grappled with for centuries.
Right.
And yet, here we are exploring it through the lens of a blue hedgehog with a need for speed.
And you know what? It totally works.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Sonic is a character we've come to love and root for. We want to see him succeed, even when the odds are stacked against him.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
He represents that spark of hope, that refusal to give up, even when things seem bleakest.
Right.
And in a world that often feels overwhelming and uncertain,
Yeah.
there's something incredibly comforting about that.
I agree.
It's like, no matter how crazy things get, how many multiversal threats emerge, Sonic will be there, spinning into action with a mischievous grin and a can-do attitude.
Yep.
And that's something we can all get behind.
Absolutely. But before we get too caught up in Sonic's heroic spirit,
Oh, right.
we have to address the elephant in the room,
Okay.
or rather the echidna in the epilogue.
You mean Enerjack.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't forget about him.
No.
Talk about your cliffhanger endings. Just when it seems like Sonic has managed to patch things up, to restore some semblance of order to the multiverse, this ancient, power-hungry entity pops up like you rang.
It's almost as if the writers are saying,
Right.
sure, you might have dealt with Seelkadoom and Nazo, but are you ready for round two?
And from what I gathered in your notes, Enerjack makes those two look like kindergarten bullies.
Oh, yeah.
He's practically a god among echidnas,
Mm-hmm.
with a power level that could rival even the Chaos Emeralds themselves.
Right. And
Right.
what's even more intriguing is that Enerjack's presence hints at a deeper connection between these shattered timelines.
Okay.
Remember those cracks we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, it seems like they might be more than just remnants of a multiversal near-miss.
You mean like maybe some things managed to slip through before Sonic could fully restore everything?
Yeah.
Maybe those cracks are how Enerjack even knows about this new remerged multiverse.
Exactly. It's like those ripples in a pond after you throw a stone.
No.
Sure, the surface eventually calms down, but those ripples can travel far and wide,
Definitely.
causing unexpected disturbances. And in this case, that disturbance comes in the form of an ancient echidna with a god complex and a bone to pick with existence itself.
Okay, now that's just good storytelling.
Uh-huh.
You think everything's wrapped up nice and tidy, and then bam, Enerjack shows up like a cosmic debt collector, reminding everyone that there are always consequences.
Right. It adds a delicious layer of tension, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because even though Sonic and his allies might have averted a multiversal meltdown,
Mhm.
the fight is far from over.
Oh, wow.
In fact, it feels like the stage is being set for something even bigger, even more epic.
And that brings us back to something you said earlier.
Okay.
This idea of pushing Sonic to his absolute limits.
Yeah.
If Seelkadoom represents Sonic's inner turmoil and Nazo embodies pure chaos, then Enerjack represents a threat on a whole other level.
Right.
An ancient primal force that could potentially unravel everything Sonic has fought to protect.
Yeah. It's scary stuff.
How do you even fight something like that?
Right.
Sonic thrives on speed, on outmaneuvering his opponents.
Yeah.
But Enerjack seems to operate on a different plane of existence altogether.
Right.
It's a battle that might require more than just quick reflexes and a positive attitude.
Definitely.
And you know what? That's what makes this whole deep dive so exhilarating.
Mm-hmm.
We started with a collection of scripts, outlines, and fan theories.
Yeah.
And somehow we've ended up contemplating the very nature of heroism, the limits of power, and the endless possibilities of the Sonic multiverse.
It's amazing. Right.
It really is.
It's a testament to the enduring appeal of this franchise.
Yeah.
Even after all these years, after countless games, comics, and TV shows,
Right.
there's still a sense of wonder,
Yeah.
of uncharted territory to explore.
And for you, our listener,
Yes.
we leave you with this thought. If you were in charge of this multiversal mayhem,
Okay.
what challenges would you throw at Sonic?
Yeah.
What enemies, what
Uh,
worlds,
yeah.
what trials would you devise to truly test the mettle of this iconic blue blur?
It's a good question.
Because in a world where anything is possible,
Right.
where timelines collide and realities blur,
Yeah.
the only limit is our own imagination.
Right.